Hello, everybody. Welcome to my first book blog or vlog or whatever the kids are calling it these days. This is just a time when I kind of just do a wrap up of what I've read this month and what I'm currently reading and what I plan to read next month. So feel free to ask any questions or about any of the books below, or recommend any books you think I might like, depending upon the books that have here. So sorry, my dog's kind of getting into the picture here. I started this month checking out 3 books that I was recommended to on Goodreads because I'm kind of trying to get into the Gothic genre, which is something that I actually like writing. So I'm a big fan of Poe. So to start things off, I checked out The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd-Jones and House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin Krug, and Blood Countess, a Lady Slayer's novel by Lana Popović. Probably butchered that name, sorry. I first read Bone Houses, or I tried to get into it. I got to page 40, and then I started reading House of Salt and Sorrows, and just kind of flew through that one. So I may finish this one, I don't know. I'm just kind of reading the Blood Countess novel right now, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, I finished House of Salt and Sorrows, and I was actually really surprised by the content and the whole storyline. It was a lot different than I thought it'd be. I guess it's a spinoff of the 12 Dancing Princesses tale, which I've never actually read, so I just read on the back that it's a spinoff of it, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should read that. There were parts of it that I was kind of like, maybe the story could have gone this way, or maybe we could have gotten more information about a given character. But the overall story I really liked. It seemed pretty original despite being a spinoff. And I have a full, more detailed review on Goodreads as well as on my blog that I just posted. Overall content, I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 for the whole read, because there were a couple things that kind of didn't sit well with me regarding a couple of the characters, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion. You might think differently, but the overall story was pretty good. I really liked the protagonist. She had a really cool name, Annalay, which, I mean, you can't really, go wrong with that. And I think all of her sisters had pretty cool names. They seemed pretty original. I really loved the sisterly dynamic that was going on, along with relations that were going on between family members. They seemed pretty realistic to me. I really liked how she fleshed out a lot of the sisters. I mean, there was 12 of them, and so there were a lot of characters in this book, but she really tried to make each one individual, at least for the understanding of the protagonist, which I thought was really neat. So if you're interested, I don't really know what genre it would be, because it was recommended as a Gothic literature, but it's also a fairy tale spinoff, and there's some elements of mythology in it, and a little bit of romance and young adult themes. So I guess it'd be a young adult Gothic romance thriller mythology fairy tale spinoff. I'm currently reading, I didn't get through it yet, The Blood Countess. I actually started reading this one first, and then I just got into House of Salt and Sorrows and just kind of finished that one. But, as well as this one. But I got it because I wondered if it was going to be anything like the literary classic Carmilla. I just wanted to kind of see the parallels in it, if that it was going to be like this or not. So far, it's kind of going down that road, but I don't know what the relationship will be like between the Countess and our main character, Anna? Anexka? Yeah, I think it's like a Slavic tale, actually, so they have a lot of interesting names in this. But all in all, I'm liking it so far. It kind of took a little bit to kind of get the story rolling. The protagonist is a girl who's kind of not a real big fan of men, mainly because her relationships with men in general haven't been too good. I mean, she has a best friend who's a man, but she's reluctant to get married, let's just say, because her father is kind of abusive, and she finds a companion or solace in this Countess, mainly because her husband is kind of treats her the same way, and she's wanting to get to know the Countess a little better and just kind of find a companion in her as far as someone who can help understand what she's going through. But you can kind of see, based off of what the other characters are observing about the Countess, she's not the best person to be friends with. So we will see how this develops. I'm kind of hoping it doesn't go like love interest or anything. I'm personally not really into lesbian love. I think it'd be interesting to see how the relationship develops. I know with Carmilla, a lot of people think that that was kind of a lesbian story, but I saw it more as kind of a vampiric possession kind of thing. But I don't know. It's up to whoever wants to read it, their own interpretation. But we'll see how Blood Countess goes. I am also currently reading. Well, I'm trying to get back into As You Wish. I loved it so much. Reading part of it as far as what am I on? I don't know what chapter, but I'm on page 80. And so it's almost halfway through. It's an autobiography about Cary Elwes, the actor, Wesley, his experience filming Princess Bride. And Cary Elwes is such a good storyteller. I mean, you see actors on screen and you don't know what their writing style's like. I mean, you don't really think like, oh, I wonder what kind of a writer they'd be. But you get this unique opportunity with Cary Elwes in this book, and he is awesome. The story's awesome. And I mean, it's the Princess Bride. I mean, it's a classic. It's cool to see it from the dynamic of the actors and how they're understanding the story, how they're portraying the story. It's a really good read. For those of you who have seen The Princess Bride who haven't, I'm sure it'd probably make more sense for those who have seen The Princess Bride. I love the movie. I read the book, the unabridged version of the book, and I loved that too. Even though they were slightly different, I still loved it. I'll probably do a review on literature to film adaptation. But yeah, but I really like this. I'm really excited to finish this one. One I'm also reading right now, I got from Deseret Book, which is a place where I spend most of my time. And it is called, it just came out, it's The Whispered Dance of Bees by Carol Warburton. And it says a historical romance novel. So, I mean, I'm a sucker for historical fiction along with, you know, some romantic elements. So I'm excited to finish this one. I think I'm on chapter 4 right now. We're still in the story of her mother, the main character's mother. So I'm ready to get the story rolling as far as, you know, the main character's concerned and see where her story goes with this. It says that, I mean, when she's born under a bad omen. So the villagers think she's cursed, which isn't really a good thing. So I'm interested to see where that story goes. That's all I really know about the book right now. So I'm interested in reading it. It's not very long. You can see how thick it is. So hopefully it won't take me too long on that one. One I read recently is kind of a totally different genre from what I usually read. It was for a literature class because I'm taking graduate classes. This wasn't on the list, but it is a graphic novel, which we were reading a lot about for middle schoolers. I think this would be more maybe on the high school front, just mainly because it has a lot of the written word in there instead of just pictures. And it's called Belonging. It's A German Reckons with History and Home by Nora Krug. And it's her autobiography of her life growing up, trying to figure out what her family relationships were to the Nazi Party back in World War II, because she's a German, and she's talking about how people perceive her nowadays based off of what happened during the war, and how she can kind of have reconciliation with her past. Were her family really Nazis? Were they forced into it? Was it something they did of their own free will? Did they commit some of those atrocious crimes? And did it eat at their conscience? Kind of, you know, she just wants to find more of the humanity of what was going on during that time from that point of view, which I thought was interesting. I read Mouse, which was an autobiography from the point of view of a Jewish man involved, his father involved in World War II in the concentration camps. And I just thought it'd be interesting if I ever did a curriculum for middle school or high school to include that book along with this one, so people can get two different perspectives. I'll probably do either a vlog or a blog post about the different graphic novels that have to do with war and different things for middle school readers, if anybody's interested in that. And I'll put the link down here whenever I get to that. I really, really like how she uses mixed mediums in this, and how she does, you can see kind of along with the drawings, she also did the writing and illustration. And she also put pictures in there too, which was really neat. And I would love to like invite students to do this, just making their own memoirs. She goes along her journey, finding her ancestors and interviewing members of her family and trying to discover more about what made up her family to help her kind of understand more about herself, which is what, you know, all kids go through at any age. So those are my reads for right now. I don't know if I'll continue with all of them, but we'll see what happens. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment below. Thanks for joining me and hope to see you later on.